Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaserking coming to you with the NFL for Week 14. It's getting very interesting now as you're looking for playoffs and seedings and who's getting the 1 seed and the 2 seed and the big matchups. I love it. Huge week last week. I had four pro locks: Seattle, Philly, New England, Denver, all four winning really easily, and San Diego was a fifth game that was fairly strong. It was funny, and then the rest of them I couldn't have played, but the ones I did play were so strong and won so easily. So it's beautiful. Just want to reiterate what I was talking about in the college, in case you don't watch the college video, about 3 and 4 and 5 team teasers. I'm beginning to see, after being in Vegas, the 3 and the 4 team teasers. The 4-team teaser, you get 280 for 100. The 3-team teasers was something like 2 to 1 or something like that. It was, I think I bet one for 75 to win 200 or something like that. So you're getting really good odds. Well, it's a little over 2 to 1 for a 3-team teaser, and it's almost 3 to 1 for a 4-team for the 4-team teaser. But if you like 4 games like I did last week, I mean, I know I had I had Seattle, Philly with New England, a 3-team teaser, and then Sunday I played San Diego, Philly, New England, or San Diego, New England, Denver. So I mean, it was like I liked all 3 teams. I was going to play them anyway, and it works especially well when you like 3 or 4 teams. When you have that, that's when you want to really jump on a 3 or 4 teamer for some good money, because you're not. Normally you're laying 12 to 10, so what good is it to play a 2-team teaser, 1,200 to win 1,000, and then you play another 2-team teaser, so you got Philly, Seattle, 2-team teaser, 1,200 to win $1,000. And you got New England, Denver, 2-team teaser, 1,200 to win $1,000. So I'm laying out 2,400 to win $2,000 when I could play maybe 800 to win $2,000. So, and I got to hit all 4, but I've got all 4 bet anyway. And all 4 are really strong plays. So it works then. It doesn't work when you're like hemming and hawing and going, well, do I like Buffalo and the Jets? Well, who cares? And that I wouldn't even put in a 4-team teaser. But I'm just saying, if you really like 4 or 5 strong teams, put them in a 3 or 4-team teaser, I think is the way to go. I think you get odds, and I think that's huge. And that helps you versus laying the 12 to 10 in the 2-team teaser if you like 3, 4 strong games. That's all I'm saying. If it's just a regular week and there's only 2 that you really like, play your 2-team teaser. But if you see 4 or 5 teams that you like, put them in a 4 or 5-team teaser. You get good odds with it, and for your risk of the $1,000 or whatever, $500, whatever you're playing, you get a nice reward. So you probably, let's say there's 10 of them, you probably only have to hit 6 out of the 10 to really make money. I'll do the math on it. I'm just thinking out of my head right now, but if I put $1,000 down on, and I do it 10 times, my outcome will be probably hitting 6, which is 60%, and Teaserking hits 75%. So if you do, if I hit 7 out of these 10, I'm going to make a lot of money. So the 3 losers, are fine, or the 4 losers will offset. And these are only when you really have strong plays. Otherwise, you play them a little smaller, or you just stick to the 2-team teasers. But basically, I think it's a huge advantage for us, only because, I mean, this week I could play the whole board. I mean, I could play every single game this week in the pros. I won't, but I really probably could. And I've already played Dallas, like I said. The trend was play against Chicago at home, play Dallas on the road. Beautiful. That's what I'm looking for. And Dallas blows them out. So it was perfect. Anyway, let's go to the NFL. Again, there's playoff positioning. So these teams must win the playoffs versus teams that don't care. So that factors in. I'm looking at the trend. See, that's the art of it. The science is the trends. Who's hot. The art is then, well, it's a playoff game, the injuries, the matchups, and everything else. And the fact that I do everything fairly live, I mean, tomorrow afternoon I might add Alabama to the mix. I might add Ohio State to the mix. As I'm watching the games that are going on during the day might dictate what you do later. So if TCU loses, it might dictate Baylor or vice versa. I think the Baylor-Kansas State game's on at 8, and the TCU game I think's on at noon or 1 o'clock. Let's say Baylor loses. Let's say TCU loses. Now Baylor's going to kill Kansas State because now it's for the title. TCU wins. Baylor still needs to win, but it's for a piece of it. I'm just saying the incentive goes. So I'm the unique handicapper in that way that I bring you these kind of the games virtually a couple hours before they're played sometimes. I already have my picks out for Sunday. I know who I like, but I'm saying last week Denver went dog to Kansas City. I locked Denver, New England. And what other capper's looking at that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon seeing Kansas City favored going, hey, let's lock it now. I mean, that's unbelievable. And that's what I'm waiting for sometimes. But I played it laying 1.5. My play in Vegas was Denver plus 4.5, New England plus 9.5. But now Denver goes dog. I'm going to play it much harder because I love New England as a dog and Denver as a dog. You got to be kidding. Against Kansas City? I mean, that's a steal. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I'll do at late. So that's why I'm a unique handicapper, and I give you that service, and it's so valuable. Everything's predicated on the point spread. You get the right dog. You got New England as a dog last week. That's unbelievable. Now, had New England been a favorite at Green Bay, I would have teased Green Bay. I'm looking for the dog in these big games because the dog, look at the game. It was close. New England could have won at the end. They didn't, but they covered easily. I mean, I like when they're in the victory formation and they're up 5 and I'm getting 9, or Denver in the victory formation up 13 and I'm getting 7. I mean, that's just heaven. I mean, that's what you're looking for. So with that said, let's look at who's hot right now real quickly. The teams that are really hot in the trend. Philadelphia, Denver, San Diego are the hottest teams at about 90%. And then you have Arizona, which is cooling off a little bit. Kansas City, which is cooling off. Seattle is on the uptick. Indy, Cincinnati, New Orleans is starting to come back, and Miami. Teams to play against. Really hot teams to play against. Washington, Tennessee, Houston, Jacksonville. There's a pattern there. All these teams suck except for Houston. So if you notice, the Phillies, the Denvers, the San Diegos, the Seattles you bet on, and the Washingtons, the Tennessees, the Houstons, the Jacksonvilles, the weak teams you bet against. The Giants, Atlanta, Oakland, Tampa Bay, these teams you bet against. They're not good teams. They lose. Teams with the playoff push versus the team with the non-playoff push, you basically play. Again, you got to watch the point spreads. That dictates a lock from not. Let's look right away. Green Bay laying 12 to Atlanta, the Monday night game. This spread was 7 or 8. It's a lock on Green Bay, right? Green Bay is laying 11.5, 12, 12.5. Get the game under 7. Bet it as soon as possible. Take Green Bay, lay the 6.5 at home. Maybe 7. Don't play over 7. If you do, just bet it smaller. Again, the point spread dictates is it a lock or not and how much to bet. So right now I see 11.5 and 12. Keep it under 7. It's a better bet than over 7, but it's not as good. If we could get it under 3, then it's a huge lock. So right now it's not a lock because of the point spread, but lay it under 7. Green Bay's a huge home favorite. Atlanta's terrible on the road. It's a perfect storm. Take Green Bay. New England, San Diego. Oh my God, what an interesting game. San Diego's undefeated as a home dog the last 5 years. They're like 8 or 9 and 0. They're like 17 and 1 as a road dog. We had them last week against Baltimore, getting 12 points. I thought the spread was way too high. It was a joke. San Diego wins the game as the dog. Well, they're even better as a home dog. They were a home dog this year against Seattle, and they beat them when Seattle was still fairly good. Percy Harvin was on the team. Their team was pretty set. So what do? New England laying 3.5. Take New England because they're going to win. Take San Diego as a home dog, get 9.5. This is a real hard one. I think I'm leaning towards San Diego. Now here's where my expertise comes in. New England is very much like Denver, right? Brady Manning. So what I did was I looked at the San Diego-Denver trends. And I'm taking that as my guide to San Diego, New England. Basically, Brady Manning. How do they handle Manning? How are they going to handle Brady? How would they handle Rodgers? How would they handle Breeze? It's all the same. I looked, San Diego, 15-0 as the dog against Denver. Now, that goes back several years, so you can't go back several years because, obviously, Manning's only been there 2 or 3 years. With that said, obviously, if San Diego's 15-0 as the dog, they're 7-0, 8-0 as the dog because they covered every time as the dog. And they haven't always been the dog before Manning was there. When Tebow was there, they were favored a lot of the times. So when San Diego is the dog, they're undefeated anywhere. Anywhere you got San Diego. Add to that, they're a great home dog. And New England's not a great road favorite. This is money time, but they're playing San Diego. I like San Diego on the 9.5 here. I'm not saying San Diego's going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But San Diego, I went to the San Diego-Seattle game. It's a noisy ballpark there. That's all I can say. They were fired up, and they moved the ball on Seattle. They'll move the ball on New England. As long as Gates and Rivers are there, they will move the ball. Now, you got Brady. I think Brady, I think New England wins the game by 4 points. Somewhere like maybe 31-27, somewhere around 33-28. I think the San Diego 9.5 is a little bit better because they're a home dog, and they beat Baltimore, so that's showing you something. Yeah, Revis is good, but I don't think he can handle Gates. I don't think he plays Gates. He'll take away Keenan Allen maybe, but not Gates. Brady's Brady. He'll light it up, but I think San Diego on the 9.5 is the better bet here, but I think New England wins it. So it's a real tight. If San Diego is a 3-point favorite, I take New England all day. New England being the favorite, I got to take San Diego as a home dog. It's a very tough game. Philly laying 1 to Seattle. Take the dog. Very playoff game. Seattle's back. It looks like they're finally Seattle again, not some other team that we couldn't figure out who they were. They got their two injured guys back. It's basically Russell Wilson versus Sanchez, and you got to give the edge to Wilson. Sanchez is not good in the big games. Philly will move the ball. Seattle will move the ball. I'm taking the dog. If Seattle goes favorite, I would take Philadelphia. Philadelphia right now is a 1.5 point favorite. Take the 7.5. If it's even, don't get a dog. Get the 7 with somebody. So right now I would say take Seattle. Now here's the beauty of it. Let's say it's Sunday afternoon and Seattle goes to a 2-point favorite. You're going to bet Philadelphia an 8. You're going to put them in the teaser with Green Bay or San Diego. That's how you do it. You're going to take the dog, especially getting more than 7. So right now, Philly's still the favorite, and they should. I figured they'd be a 2-point favorite. They're only a 1, but take Seattle as the dog right now. Frisco laying 8 to Oakland. Take Frisco, cut them down to 2. Get it under 2. Do not play a lot with Frisco here. Not a big play because you can't trust Kaepernick. All of a sudden, he's a terrible quarterback. Oh my God! Against Seattle, he was missing receivers by way overthrowing and throwing the picks. Keeps throwing against Sherman. He doesn't learn. Maybe you don't throw to Sherman's side. I don't know. I don't like Kaepernick. I don't. He's not a really good quarterback. He's a good running quarterback. He's not running as much. Derek Carr, I like him a lot. I liked him at Fresno. Good quarterback, but I think Frisco means business. They got the Smith boys back. Huge trend on Frisco. It's funny. Here's the trend on Frisco. When they're a home favorite, it's almost like 15-1 to play against them. So when they're a home favorite, you take the dog. But when Frisco's a road favorite, it's almost the exact opposite. They're like 14-1 as a road favorite. So they go in, they play their tough defense, and they win the games. Take Frisco, lay the 2. Don't worry about it. They will cover the 2. They'll win the game. They have to win the game, and Oakland's terrible. They got their win. There's no way Frisco's losing this game. Again, you start looking at the playoffs. They need the game. so they're not going to lose to Oakland. Kansas City laying 1 to Arizona. Take the dog. Arizona is a great team at home. I know they lost to Atlanta last week, but now they're going to be mad. Drew Stanton's not a great quarterback, but he's not that bad. Ellington's out. I see that with the hip, which is fine. They got other running backs. But basically, Arizona at home is much different than on the road, and as a dog, they are much different. They still have that great defense. Kansas City doesn't strike fear into me. They're a weak favorite like they were against Denver. Take the dog in this game. KC's laying 1. Take Arizona and the 7. This is a nice teaser. St. Louis laying 3 to Washington. Washington is a huge bet against team. Let me go through the trend for you. Washington. Since 2011, Washington's 48-12 bet against, 80%. But let's get a little bit better. Since 2013, so it's last year and this year, bet against Washington 25-3, 89 more. It's like 90%. At home, Washington bet against 6-1 is a home favorite, 6-0 is a dog. 12-1 bet against them at home. They're at home. They're the dog. Washington bet against as a home dog since 2011, 14-1. Enough said. This spread should be 7. St. Louis with Sean Hill is a pretty good offensive team. They have a good defense already. Washington's terrible. Who are they starting? Colt McCoy, RG3, Joe Theismann. Who are they starting? This spread should be St. Louis -7, chopping them to 1. Here you're only laying 3. You take 3 with it. St. Louis plus the 3 is a joke. Take St. Louis all day. Lions 9.5 over Tampa Bay. This is the only game I really like the dog in. Detroit will choke, as they always do. I thought the spread was 7. They're 9.5 because of the playoff, but Detroit doesn't know how to win in the playoffs. I keep yelling for Kellen Moore because obviously Stafford's not a very good quarterback. I don't really get why he's starting and not Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, if the Lions had Kellen Moore, they'd have 3 more wins. Kellen Moore does not throw interceptions. He throws touchdowns. He moves the team. He knows before the snap. He knows exactly where he's throwing. He's going to hit the guy in the numbers 99 times out of 100. But yet, for some reason, they got him as their 3rd string because he's left-handed or something like that. Meanwhile, Stafford throws 2-3 interceptions a game. Only throws to Kelvin Johnson and throws so many bad passes. Can't read a defense. Overthrows so many, all miscommunications all day long. And really, despite of him, the Lions are winning just because of the defense for some reason. I don't like this. This is not. You don't lay a lot of points with the Lions. 9.5, 10. You're going to lay 3.5, 4 with the Lions. No chance. Take Tampa Bay in the 15-16. Doug Martin's back. They're playing fairly well. Last year they won in Detroit, and they'll find a way to win in Detroit again. I love it. Take Tampa in the 15. Again, this is not a strong play, but I'm trying to avoid you from taking Detroit laying 3.5 or 4. New Orleans 9.5 to Carolina. Now this is a horse of a different color. New Orleans normally has been good at home, has been weak, but that big win against Pittsburgh. Carolina is absolutely terrible. No chance for the playoffs. New Orleans needs it. I think the win against Pitt will be helpful. You're laying 3.5 here to Carolina, who's got blown out by Minnesota. Really? You lose to Minnesota, chances are you're going to lose to New Orleans. Head-to-head, there's not a lot of trends. There is one. Carolina's 8-2 against New Orleans, but basically lately there's not been the trend. And as bad as Carolina with no receivers is playing, take New Orleans, lay the 3.5. Houston laying 5.5 to Jacksonville. Take Houston. Small trend on Jacksonville and the dog, 5-1 in this, but Houston's been playing well with Watt, and basically, I just, Houston's not going to lose to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's just terrible. Houston's been playing well. They're a 6-6 team, not a 2-12 team. I like the coach. He seems to cover a lot. So we're taking Houston even. Again, that's very small. Indy laying 3.5 to Cleveland. I like Indy getting the 2.5. I don't love these. I really don't like laying the -3 to +3. I don't like that. Or minus, the -2 to +4 is okay. Or last week Denver was 1.5. You get 4.5. 4.5. You got that 3-4 point covered. I don't mind that. The 3.5s are hard because you get 2.5. Basically, if you think it's going to be that close, you take the dog. If you don't think it's going to be that close, you just lay the 3.5 and off you go. So it's a hard one, but I don't see Indy. Andrew Luck, he'll win the game. Probably be a close game at Cleveland. Who knows what Cleveland team will show up, but I know I'm betting on Andrew Luck, and I'm sure Indy will get the win there. Indy's the trend. Very strong game. Miami laying 3 to Baltimore. Take Baltimore as the dog. Miami's really not that good as a home favorite, except for the San Diego game. They don't really blow anybody out. Baltimore is a great road dog. They won at New Orleans. In the San Diego game, it's like I said, San Diego is a great dog, and they covered. But here, Baltimore's the dog. Miami, weak favorite. Game's even. Here's how I look at it. Can you say Miami's going to beat Baltimore? I can't. I don't see that. That for sure they're going to win. So therefore, you take the dog. You get 3. You kick it to 9. Baltimore's probably a good game to play with Seattle. You get 2 live dogs there. Play with San Diego maybe. You have those games. But Baltimore very strong against Miami. You get 9 points. Playoff game. Baltimore, they both need it. So both teams will show up. And that's basically the week. A couple games I left off. A couple are locks. Again, I'm watching the point spread. Right now I'm taking Seattle +7. If Seattle is a 2-point favorite, I'm taking Philly and 8. San Francisco, keep it under 3. St. Louis shouldn't bother you. New Orleans, try to keep it 3-3.5. Don't go much more with New Orleans. Everybody else looks comfortable. And Green Bay at 12 goes to 12.5. Lay it, keep it under 7. If it goes to 13, lay the 7, but I wouldn't lay more. And I know Green Bay's blowing out teams, and I get that, but it's just you got to bet the games before, not after the game. So if you can get 12.5, keep it under 7. It's a better bet than 13.5, laying 7.5. It's very hard to play that one. I mean, Atlanta's a decent team, but Green Bay, Green Bay's strong at home. Atlanta is going to go there and freeze their butts off. It's cold. Green Bay can handle it. Atlanta won't. Green Bay will probably win by about 25 here, but I just don't like to lay 13.5. So bet this in as soon as you can. Keep it at 12.5, 12. Keep it under at 7, and it's a much better play. Anyway, it's Howard the Teaser King coming to you. Good luck to everybody. Now, if I was talking about my 3-4 team teaser, so here would be my 3-team teaser: Baltimore and 9, Seattle and 7, and Green Bay -6. Play them in a 3-team teaser, a couple $100. You get 2.5 to 1 odds on it. You're not laying 12 to 10. You're getting odds. You're going to bet all 3 anyway. So that would be what I would do. Maybe you add Denver to it. Maybe you add Seattle to it. San Diego. You can play a 5 or 6 team teaser cheaper. You risk less. Maybe instead of $1,000, let's say you play $1,000. So maybe you go 1,000 on the 3-teamer. Maybe on the 4-teamer you only risk $750. You still get almost the same payout. If you play a 5 or 6 team teaser, maybe you only bet $200 or $300, but you're getting so much odds that you do it. That you actually win the same amount, betting a lot less. And really, what we're looking for is risk reward. The less money you have to bet to win the same amount of money, better risk and reward. Now, granted, we can't lose a game in the 3 or 4 team teaser, but we're going to bet them anyway. We're going to have teasers with both these teams in it, so what's the difference? You might as well play it like that. So that would be the the appropriate way to play. You still play your two-team teaser. You still play Baltimore, Seattle hard. You still play Green Bay with San Diego. You probably play Green Bay, San Diego, and Green Bay with, let's say, Indy. Pretty medium, pretty decent-sized bets. Play San Francisco maybe with New Orleans, where they both need the game. But again, you don't play that as strong as the others. But that's really what you're looking for. Getting the best price for your money, because it's the same bet, right? You're going to bet a two-team teaser. You're going to lay 12 to 10. You're going to bet 1,200 to win 1,000. It doesn't matter. Why play weaker teams? Play the better teams. Play the better percentages, and that's what it's all about. Because you don't get any more if I play Tampa versus playing San Diego, playing Denver, Seattle. I might as well play Denver and Seattle. At least if I lose, I got those teams. I don't want to lose with Tampa Bay or Jacksonville. So it's because there's no reward. You don't win more because you bet Tampa and won than if you bet Denver or New England or Green Bay. So you might as well put more of your money on the better teams and the better roles. Then why would I want to play Jacksonville? I mean, they might win, but I can't trust them. They've only won 1 or 2 games, and Oakland won 1 game. Why would I put a lot of money on Oakland? I don't win any more by betting Oakland than I do betting Denver, then New England, then San Diego. So that's the thing. So we're looking at the trends. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Howard the Teaser King. Please come to me. Go to the site, www.teaserking.com, and you can certainly ask me any questions. I've gone over most of the games. I do have a college pro lock this week. I highly recommend it. I've been very hot lately. Probably the last 5 or 6 weeks I've been very, very hot. Like I say, it's easier because now I got this year's trends on the teams. And that's really what I'm looking for, is the trend on the teams, or all of a sudden Seattle's playing better. Boom. Well, earlier we lost with them locking against Dallas. If they played now, they'd kill Dallas. So, you know, what normally happens versus, you know, the injuries and everything else. So, anyway, I'll leave you with that. Good luck, and I hope you make a lot of money this weekend.